Welcome back. Today we join a solitary builder as he carves a permanent foothold out of the deep forest, securing an off-grid cabin before the heavy weather sets in. First, the perimeter must be stabilized. Laying fresh sod directly against the foundation does more than improve the landscape. The dense root system binds the topsoil, preventing heavy runoff from eroding the earth beneath the cabin's supports. Each square is pressed firmly into the damp dirt to eliminate air pockets. Air trapped beneath the roots will cause the grass to dry out and die. By interlocking the edges, he creates a continuous biological mat. Once the ground layer is secure, the focus shifts to a brief moment of rest. Suspending a hammock between two mature pines tests the anchor points. The structural integrity of the living trees easily supports the dynamic load. Survival requires intense labor, but it also demands scheduled recovery.
Next. Next. I doesn't. Next.
Later that afternoon, access to the upper structure becomes the priority. He begins constructing a custom wooden ladder frame, notching the timber with a jigsaw before installing the cross braces. Removing material to create a flush joint provides critical shear strength. When climbing with heavy tools, metal brackets alone are not enough to bear the shifting weight. The wood itself must lock together. Driving thick steel nails through the joints binds the rails into a single, rigid unit. Unlike a factory-made aluminum ladder, this custom frame is built to match the exact pitch of the uneven forest floor. Every rung is anchored directly to the cabin's upper siding. It will not slip. With the exterior access secured, the work moves inside. But first, a brief celebration of the progress made so far. Refined sugar and complex carbohydrates provide a massive caloric spike, essential fuel for the heavy lifting ahead. Inside the cabin, establishing a reliable cooking system is paramount. The builder removes the inner plate of the cast iron wood stove. Cast iron is heavy and difficult to transport, but its thermal mass makes it unparalleled for off-grid living. It absorbs the intense heat of the wood fire and radiates that energy outward long after the flames die down. Frying dense sausage directly over the open porch harnesses the stove's maximum temperature. The rendered animal fat provides necessary winter calories. Before the day ends, the hydration system is maintained. Watering the newly planted strawberries ensures the roots establish themselves before the cold shock of night. salvaging the property's aging outbuildings. He uses an electric chainsaw to cut away the rotted base logs of the old shed. Wood left in direct contact with damp earth will inevitably decay, compromising the structural integrity of the entire roof above. He immediately installs fresh lumber to replace the failing sill plate. Driving heavy screws through the new horizontal beam transfers the shed's dead load back onto solid ground. A notch is carved to interlock the structural corners. This mechanical bind prevents the frame from racking during high winds. With the perimeter wall stabilized, a new deck platform is laid out. 6 reclaimed planks are secured directly to the bridge, creating a dry, elevated surface that keeps future firewood and tools off the wet forest floor. The old structure is sound again. friction or raised grain will cause raw dough to catch and tear during the transfer. Inside, the builder mixes ground meat, fat, and chopped vegetables. Folding the dense filling into an oblong dough boat creates a self-contained meal. Outside, the brick-lined oven has been preheated for hours. He pushes the glowing red embers to the back of the chamber. A masonry oven does not bake using direct flame. Instead, the heavy fire bricks absorb the fire's heat, acting as a thermal battery that radiates intense, even energy from all sides. The raw flatbreads are slid directly onto the scorching stone floor. The intense bottom heat immediately sets the crust, while the radiant heat from the dome melts the fats and cooks the meat through. The next phase is a massive upgrade to the cabin's thermal energy. Expanding a window requires cutting directly through the load-bearing wall. He carefully slices away the structural frame to transfer the weight overhead. To expose the wall cavities. He rolls out thick, silver-backed insulation. This reflective barrier works differently than standard fiberglass. Instead of just slowing conductive heat loss, the foil face actively bounces infrared thermal energy back into the living space. Fresh wood paneling is immediately driven into place over the insulation, locking the vapor barrier tightly against the exterior elements. With the new windows sealed, the interior finishing begins. He secures a solid wooden tabletop to the wall using heavy steel hinges. In an off-grid cabin, square footage is the most valuable resource. A folding work surface provides a sturdy prep area when needed and disappears entirely when floor space is required. The new table immediately serves its purpose. He hollows out whole green zucchinis, removing the spongy core to make room for a dense mixture of meat, rice, and aromatics. Packing the vegetables tightly ensures they will hold their shape during a long braise. Simmering them upright in a deep stainless steel pot allows the trapped moisture to steam the rice. As night falls, the temperature drops rapidly. He brings a heavy steel bucket of split wood inside. Using a propane torch provides a highly concentrated blast of heat. This immediate thermal shock rapidly warms the interior of the stovepipe, creating a powerful vertical draft before the wood even fully ignites. stovepipe's draft relies entirely on a clean, vertical alignment, pulling toxic gases out of the living space. Any horizontal sag will trap heavy smoke. Out on the deck, the wood stove is repurposed for an open-air braise. Cooking fatty cuts of meat outside keeps the heavy grease from coating the cabin's wooden interior. While the meat simmers, he shifts his attention to the upper balcony. A heavy wooden gate is constructed from scratch. He cuts the raw lumber to size and squares the frame, but the critical component is the diagonal cross brace. Without it, gravity will quickly pull the unhinged side of the gate downward. The diagonal beam transfers the sheer hanging weight directly down into the bottom hinge, locking the geometry into a rigid triangle. The balcony is now fully enclosed and secure. construction is finally complete. He carries the small folding table out to the rug-lined balcony, transforming the raw architecture into a comfortable living space. Below, a dark, penetrating stain is rolled over the new wooden stair treads. The oil seals the porous end grain against moisture and rot. What was a rough perimeter is now a finished sanctuary. Structure and environment operate as one resilient system.